Hey guys, and welcome to Pheas Airsoft, where today I'm going to do a disassembly for repair and maintenance on this Zion Arms SMG 9. Hey guys, and welcome back. If you do enjoy this content today, please do consider liking, commenting and subscribing, because those interactions will help me get seen by the YouTube algorithms and help the channel grow. If you want to stop by and say hello on my socials, use the Linktree link down below in the description to take you to all of my socials, including my Discord. And if you want to support the channel a little bit more, channel memberships are enabled, 99p a month, totally optional. Custom videos, giveaways, bloopers, a little bit of saying how the channel's run. Totally optional, really appreciate it. So we'll get straight into this then. Hopefully you've seen the unboxing, it's linked below. So we're just going to drop the stock off, so we're going to extend it. I've got this little pin here, which I'm going to grab from both sides at the same time and pull down on. It is not the easiest thing to do. And I'm going to pull that out, possibly going to need a long screwdriver. Next thing I'm going to do is the front end here. We'll remove this now. Let's have a look. Did that work? No, T10 is not big enough. So it is an Allen key or hex head bolt, but I tend to use Torx head bolt bits with them because they tend to not round them. I tend to get a better purchase. So I'm using a Torx 15 here to loosen those two bolts off. And it is just two bolts. There we go. And that releases the handguard. The muzzle brake is just a 14mm negative. That's quick and easy to remove. And then we've got our barrel nut and our outer barrel then to remove. It does look like there is space in there to run front wiring if we chose to as part of our maintenance or repairs. So I'll slide that back on. I'll tighten those back down. So again, that was a Torx 15 I used for those two screws. Oops, missed. There we go. So next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to push this front pin out. Now, as I said on the Spectre video, although it depends if I've released that or not, I did have somebody sort of DM me saying, oh, you're a bit clumsy, which I am. I genuinely am. But I'm extra clumsy in these videos because a lot of it I'm trying to do in midair. And I'm trying to use standard tools that I know everybody's going to have to show you how you can do these disassemblies, generally speaking, without anything too specialist other than just a good screwdriver set. So I'm just going to use this to punch this screw out. Well, I'm just going to take this off camera because floating isn't working. There we go. Took a good little bit of punching through. It's good that there is definitely good solid retention. So that is a D shape on that front pin, body pin there, to match this D shape here. So that should release this now. I'm just going to pull the charging handle. That is well on there. Now, is it retained elsewhere? How interesting. Normally at this point, what I should get is that this should release from the rest of the body. And it is, I think it's just wedged. Yeah, there we go. It's coming. Oh, there we go. Wow, that was really wedged on there. I'm guessing from the paint layered up, it's wedged on there quite well. So I'm just going to lift that up over that notch. So I had to just pull the charging handle back and up a little bit to get it over that. So I'm just going to lift that off there. So there's our gearbox and everything. We'll have a look at that shortly. The plate there, is that still in the right position? Has that jumped? Potentially jumped a little bit. Oh, there we go, back in position there. So we've got our barrel and hop assembly then. So I'll put the hop fully on so you can see how much adjustment is. Now there is definitely more adjustment in there than the spec now. And I didn't seem to have to put an awful lot of adjustment on to get it to hop 2.5s. Teeny tiny little diddy barrel, but there's plenty of hop in there for the normal sort of weights of BBs that we'd be usually shooting, so I'll get that out of the way. Now, am I going to need my extra long? Hold this. No, I think I'm alright. So I'm going to put a Phillips head screwdriver down here because it's a Phillips head screw, and we're going to remove this stock tube. So I've just pulled the stock tube off. There is our screw with a washer on it, and I'm guessing there is the retaining clip thing. I'm just going to poke that out. There we go. So I'll remove this to save hassle. There we go. Oh, and the sling plate's even coming with it as well. So the extruded part went into the body. The indented part was exposed at the back there, but we'll cover that when we're assembling. This retention thing then, the flattened off bit allows the wiring underneath, and the screw sits in it like that to screw down and into the back of the gearbox. Now we have got a quick change spring system, which is push in, and I'm guessing it's a quarter turn. It is a quarter turn, so I could have accessed this. It's not fully twisted. There we go. Could have accessed that down the stock tube if that silver retainer had come out more easily. So there is our spring, and it is a bearing based spring guide. So as these compress, they tend to want to twist a little bit. That just helps them to do that twisting a little bit just to keep them healthy. So we know we're no longer under pressure in there. So we've got pistol grip there. So I pull the retention at the back. There's no screws in this, and it just literally lifts off, as simple as that. So I'm just going to use a little flat head. So the the black terminal is at the front on this one, the red is at the back, and the wire is kind of doubled over on itself a little bit. So it's a touch longer than it needs to be. So the red was at the back, the black is at the front. I'm going to lift the motor out. There is our unlabeled motor, stock motor. We've got 4 separate Phillips head screws down in there. So I'm going to get screwdriver in there. So as I was saying, yes, I am clumsy, really clumsy, but I'm also trying to do this floating in midway on top of my clumsiness. And the reason I don't often use a lot of specialist things like punchers, separate special punchers, is because often people don't have those things, and although they are the best tool, you know, for the job, it's often we don't have them, and you can make use with other things. So just choosing appropriately. So the black wire came in at the front, went up the front and onto the black terminal. The red wire comes in at the back, goes up the back and onto the red terminal at the back. So there is no looping cables around underneath the motor. So we've now got a trigger pin. I don't think I need to remove that. And we've got the rear body pin to drop out. So the rear body pin literally just didn't need any pushing at all. It has got some little teeth on it there to help it retain, so it came out from the right hand side. The trigger pin is already throwing itself out at me. Now there's no teeth on that side, so I'm guessing if I push it through, it's literally just lightly coming through. A lot of the strength of holding these two in place will come from the stock tube screw pulling it down, and the pistol grip screws pulling it down as well will help sort of build that friction. So I'm just going to lift that up, just trying to, there we go, just so that's disconnected. I'm just going to lift that up and out, and there is, unhook our wiring, our gearbox. I will discuss how to put the bolt release back in when we assemble. So there's our body with our bolt release system, our selector disc there. Get that out of the way. There is our gearbox, typical M4 selector. There is a tiny little micro switch there on the side that is used for safe and obviously detecting at least bare minimum if it's in auto or not, if it's moved off. Now I can't see any other detection systems in there underneath there. I apologise, I'm off camera Now there is a little micro switch there, but I can't tell unless it's the amount it's depressed determines if it's single shot or full auto. I can't see anything else that would detect single or... That's disappointing me slightly. I wasn't expecting a Lancer Tactical. My knowledge is not very extensive of Lancers, but I know that a lot of time they do not have good reputations online. So I'm just going to unscrew these screws. Now I've used a Torx 8 T8 screw head. They are Torx head screws. The ones across the top are all the same. We have got bearing bushings on the gears there. So typically, few people have asked me about this. What's the difference between bushings and bearings? So the bushings are just metal discs that basically secure the gear set into the gearbox and offer strength basically. So particularly if you're using a high FPS setup, then bushings are better. Bearings, particularly if you're going for a high speed setup, help the gear set just roll that little bit smoother, so basically can assist with rate of fire. But they're obviously more prone to failure. Now the screws so far coming out across the bottom are all identical, and the ones across the top are all identical. But we'll see any further. I do apologise, I'm a little bit gassy today, just had a coffee. Another one. And last one. So far, there we go, we are in. Greasing, just sort of loosely daubed about, nothing overly special, not over grease like we'll get with some ones. So there is our trigger block based MOSFET that's just got a switch there that we just push with our trigger to fire it. We've still got our physical cutoff. We've still got our standard gear set in there. I'm guessing that is, let's lift this assembly out. So there's our compression assembly. I'm guessing underneath there is some sort of detection system going off in there to detect, and there is, looks like two little magnets inside of there, which I'm guessing are rubbing on a sensor there to detect shot completion. So I'm guessing there's probably active braking going off inside of this gearbox as well. So I'm just going to spin that gear set around. Now, it doesn't sound great when it's shooting, and I don't know if that's motor adjustment, which I'm going to let the owner, again, thanks Louis for lending me these. I don't know if that's motor engagement or if it's badly shimmed or what, or if it's just the sound being reflected badly by the body, but it doesn't sound amazing. But there's no evidence really of anything rubbing badly on anything, and an attempt has been made to shim. There is shims about and things, which are the washers that position the gears. So we've got plenty of grease and things all over here. We've got a metal tooth piston with the second tooth is obviously like sort of shaved down to accommodate the gear better, vented because it's such a short barrel. So we're checking air compression then, so I just want to see, oh, excellent air compression straight away. There is pressure there. Let's check it with, I don't think it's an O-ring type. No, it must not be an O-ring type. So I'm expecting that there will be, there is some pressure there, definitely air pressure there. So excellent compression in here, not as great with that, but it's not gonna be because it's just, you know, sort of the nature of airsoft really, that it's only with an O-ring one that you would actually get much better, but there is definitely compression to be had in there. So the tappet plate then just sits into the air nozzle and should just help move it up and down. The tappet spring goes on there and it helps pull it back to the front, return the nozzle back to the front once the sector key is pulled it back. So I'm going to put this little spring onto this peg here and pull the assembly back, and this lug here is going to go into the hole underneath here to locate it all and centralize it. So I'll drop that onto there, I'm going to pull that back, and then it should, famous last words, that's slightly out of position I think. Is it in? That's definitely in. Something doesn't quite feel right, maybe it's just that. There we go. So that's dropped into place. Now the tappet will jump about a little bit. It is just a pain, and that's knocking shims off there, look. That's a pain. So it's a delicate sort of balance. Other than that, it looks fairly standard. It's nothing overly exciting in there. MOSFET, I was hoping for a little bit more in from, but, you know, beggars can't always be choosers. So I'm just going to roll it on from the front, and I'm going to use a very small head just to pull these gears into position, as well as push the safety bar in there. Nearly there. And I can feel different parts clicking down. And you can see there that the gear is not quite where it needs to be. Oh no, things are moving. It's not often I have issues. Oh, shims are firing off there. This tappet plate does not want to stay where it needs to stay. Stay there. The anti-reversal latch is trying to jump out as well. Right. Just re-centralise those. So I've got my finger on the tappet plate a second just to try. In fact, you know what? Let's try that. Right. Press that in there. That comes down. That comes in. There we go. So what I did there to assist me, just checking that that's in the right place it is. So basically what I'm looking for is that the cylinder is flush to the sides of the gearbox, which it is. That's moving freely, which it is. And I can see it down there, that it's moving freely. It's kept the shims on, hopefully, but it's 99% sure. The trigger moves. If I push the selector forward, physical trigger's there. All the gears are in place, and it's sat flush. The two halves have gone back flush together. And I am ready then to bring in the screws and screw this all shut now. What I did notice, and I didn't comment, is that some of these screws in the gearbox shell were not very tight into there. Now I'm not saying they have to be sort of brute forced in and, you know, a tight way you're having to really sort of fight with them, but like loose, like it took no effort to get them going. So just something to think about if you do get one, as a maintenance point of view. It might be worth just lifting the gearbox up and out just to tighten those screws down, or just to check. It might just be this one. Bringing the top screws down. Two. Okay, so we're now ready to bring our spring and spring guide in. I've kept it together as one piece. I'm just going to slide that in there. The two pegs go in to match the two holes, and then it's just a quarter turn. It's obviously a hex head screw in the back of there, so if I, you know, there we go, and it's the two pegs have gone horizontal now, and it comes back pretty much flush with the back of the gearbox. I could have, if I wanted, use a hex head basically, or a large Torx head to do that, to make it easier, but the spring's not strong enough to warrant it. So just to save time, I did just use my thumb to push it in and twist it. The next thing we're going to do then is we're going to drop it back into the receiver, and we're going to look at putting that back in. Now, once I've got the gearbox in, this is basically going to have to slide into here, and it does look like post manufacturing they've had to do some shaving out there. It's just going to slide in, and we're just trying to get it hooked into there like that. and that's what I'm looking for. So ultimately it's going to have to come in, sat up higher, and we're just looking for that drop in there, which is not easy to get and do. So I'm just going to drop that back in, drop those down in there, pull the wiring in. Now that's all in. I'm going to lift this up ever so slightly just to give myself that little bit of room. Wow, that was really lucky. Now, on the Spectre, I spent ages. So I can see, or is it actually gone in? No, yeah. Yeah, no, it's in there. It's definitely in there. That's good. On the Spectre, I spent ages. So this trigger pin then, the teeth are on this side, oddly, which usually they're on the other side. I'm just checking through the hole once it's lined up properly that there's nothing in the way. Because if there is, either the hole's not lined up properly or I'm about to do damage to something because I've not lined something up properly. I'm just moving it about because the gearbox has moved a little bit. What I should have done is I should have located that bolt first. That's the wrong bolt. Come on, Pheas. I'm a professional, honest. So I'm just going to locate that in place. There we go. That one's now clicked in place. That one now, see how much easier that just slid in. Now that's quite loose at the minute, and it will be until I get the pistol grip back on, at which point then it's going to pull it down against that, and I can see there that that's working. So we're going to bring in the pistol grip. The 4 screws are in there, so the black wire is going in the very front hole. That one that I've just covered up. The red wire is going in the back hole, which is that one that I've just covered up, and the motor goes down the middle into the hole in the bottom of the gearbox. Right, so got the pistol grip slid down. So all I'm going to do is roll the screws backwards until I get the click. There we go, and then I know I'm in the threads properly, and tighten that down, and I'm just going to rinse and repeat 4 times. Okay, so next what we're going to do is separate the wires. So the black wire was at the front, the red wire was at the back, and they came up the front and the back, which is quite different to a lot of options. Oops. The red terminal is at the back. There goes the spring. Spring just sits on there, so I'm probably going to have to slide it in sideways just to keep the spring in. There we go. Oh, I put it in the wrong way. There we go. So the red wire goes onto its red terminal at the back. The black wire goes onto its black terminal at the back. Not quite happy that that red one's gone fully on. There we go. There we go. So I'm just going to manipulate those around a little bit. That then should just click in, and the motor all the time should stay springy in there, which means it's not locking up on anything. So next, we're going to bring the sling loop. So the bigger pairing and the indentation go like that. That's the orientation we're looking for. It's like that. We're going to bring in the stock tube, and that locates on those 2 little lugs like that. Drop that there, and then we're going to bring in the retaining lug and screw. I'm just going to drop those down gently, trying to keep that flattened off part as sort of squared off to the bottom as I possibly can, and I'm just going to looking to drop my screwdriver into that. Now what I'm looking for is the click. It's not locating it properly. So I'm just trying to get the screw into the back of that spring guide. There we go. I think. Oh. There we go. There's the click. So the screw should not be very difficult to get in. If it's in its threads properly, it will be easy to get in until it's obviously pulling tight. At that point then, now it's tightened down, I'm checking that that's still straight, which it is, which means the screw's in. That's all solid and stable, which is good. I can fold that back in, like that. I can bring that back in and pull those tabs down and put the stop back on. And then as I'm putting the upper on, I'm all right, it's not going to catch on there. So I'm just going to slowly bring that on. I'm going to lift the charging handle up and over the catch there. Oh, there we go. Now that is quite a, there we go. I just had to give it a little bit of a love tap from the front there just to put it into place. So everything's in place, and then I can bring the front body pin in, which just needs a gentle tap back in. There we go, it's gone back flush. And that is it. We have done a disassembly and reassembly to help you with your repairs and maintenance. I hope you found that useful. I've enjoyed that immensely. Please do remember to like, comment and subscribe, and I will see you next time. Bye.